Ethan had always believed that mornings on the ranch were the calmest moments of the day. The quiet air, the soft sunlight, and the slow movement of animals waking up made him feel connected to everything around him. On this particular morning, he woke up even earlier than usual. Something about the night before felt strange. The wind had been stronger than normal, and a few times he thought he heard an unusual sound coming from the far end of his land. He told himself it was probably just the wind brushing against loose wood or moving dry grass, but the feeling stayed with him until sunrise. As he stepped outside, the cool air touched his face. He stretched his arms, breathed deeply, and looked around. The sky was clear and soft in color, showing signs that it would be a warm day later on. Ethan put on his old hat, picked up his gloves, and began walking toward the south side of the ranch. It was part of his routine to check the fences every few days. The animals depended on those fences to stay safe, and Ethan took that responsibility seriously. The ground was still slightly wet from the light rainfall the day before. Each step Ethan took made a soft sound against the soil. Birds were slowly waking up, singing quietly from the trees around the fields. Everything seemed peaceful, but Ethan couldn't shake the tiny thought in the back of his mind. Something about last night's strange noises didn't feel completely normal. As he walked farther away from the house, the open land stretched wide before him. Tall grass waved gently as the wind brushed through it. Ethan stopped a few times along the way to check small areas of the fence. He tightened a wire here, pushed a loose wooden post back into place there, and kept moving. It was normal work. Nothing surprising, but he felt a little more alert than usual. About 20 minutes into his walk, he reached the older part of the south fence. It hadn't needed much repair in the past, but Ethan still inspected it regularly. He took a slow look around the field. Everything seemed calm and ordinary. The animals were farther away, grazing quietly. The sun was rising a little higher now, making the shadows shorter and the light brighter. Just as Ethan bent down to check a corner of the fence, he heard something. It wasn't loud, it wasn't sharp. It was soft, almost too soft to understand. He froze and listened carefully. For a moment, there was nothing but wind and the faint sound of leaves moving. He thought maybe he imagined it, but then it came again, a small whisper. "I can't move." Ethan's head lifted quickly, but he stayed quiet. The voice was gentle, weak, and unclear. At first, he wondered if one of his smaller animals somehow got stuck or tangled in the grass, but the voice didn't sound like an animal at all. It sounded like a human voice, a young one. He stood slowly and looked around, searching the area with his eyes. Everything looked normal. The tall grass near the fence moved with the wind, making it hard to see what was underneath. Ethan took a careful step forward. Then another. His heart beat a little faster now, not from fear, but from concern. Again, the soft voice came, barely louder than before. "I can't move." Ethan's eyes focused on a patch of tall grass that seemed slightly pressed down, as if something or someone had been lying there. He walked toward it, moving gently, not wanting to scare whoever was there if someone was truly there at all. As he reached the spot, he hesitated for a moment. It was not normal to find someone out here on his land so early in the morning, especially a person with such a weak voice. He bent down slowly, using his hands to part the tall grass. At first, he saw only the ground and some dry leaves. But when he carefully pushed the grass wider, he finally saw something. A small hand. Ethan's breath caught for a moment, not from shock but from concern. He moved the grass a little more and discovered a boy, around 10 or 11 years old, lying on the ground. The boy's eyes were half open, and his face looked tired and dusty. His clothes were dirty, as if he had been lying there for many hours. Ethan instantly understood that the boy wasn't in serious danger, but he was definitely exhausted and unable to stand. The boy looked up at Ethan slowly. His voice came out as a tired whisper. "I can't move." Ethan felt a wave of worry but kept his voice calm and warm. "It's okay," he said gently. "I'm here. You're not alone." The boy blinked slowly, and Ethan could tell he was trying hard to stay awake. Ethan didn't touch him immediately. He first examined the boy carefully from a short distance. He needed to make sure the child wasn't hurt in any serious way. The boy's breathing was steady, though weak. There were no signs of pain on his face. Just exhaustion. "What's your name?" Ethan asked softly. The boy took a moment before answering. "Liam," he whispered, his voice dry as if he hadn't spoken in a long time. "All right, Liam," Ethan said, nodding gently. "I'm Ethan. You're safe now. I'm going to help you. Okay?" Liam tried to nod but couldn't move much. Ethan reached for the small water bottle he always carried. He opened it and held it close to Liam's lips. "Just a little sip," Ethan said. Liam took a slow, small drink. Then another. Already, some strength seemed to return to his eyes. Ethan sat beside him for a moment, giving the boy time to recover slightly. The morning air was quiet around them, making the moment feel even more unreal. How had this boy ended up here? Was he alone? Did someone come looking for him? Ethan didn't know yet, but he would find out soon. After a few breaths, Liam whispered again, I fell, and I couldn't get up." Ethan nodded, listening carefully. "It's all right. You're doing great. I'm going to help you sit up now, slowly. Just tell me if anything feels uncomfortable." Uncomfortable. "I'm going to help you sit up now. I'm going to help you sit up now. I'm going to help you sit up now. I'm going to help you sit up now." With gentle hands, he helped Liam move, supporting his back and lifting him just enough so he could sit. The boy leaned against Ethan's arm, breathing more evenly now. Ethan could feel how tired Liam was, not from any injury, but from being stuck without help for too long. Ethan looked around the open field again. Everything was peaceful, which made the situation even stranger. It was almost unbelievable to find a lost child lying quietly in the grass on a calm morning. But Ethan knew things like this happened sometimes. People got lost. Children wandered too far. And help arrived only when someone noticed. "Did you call for help?" Ethan asked softly. Liam nodded faintly. "I did." Ethan felt a soft ache in his chest, imagining the boy calling out in the night while no one heard. But he didn't let sadness show on his face. He only gave Liam a reassuring smile. "You're safe now," Ethan said again. "I'm glad I heard you." The boy looked up at him, his eyes showing a small spark of relief. Ethan knew he had to get Liam to a comfortable place where he could rest properly, but he also knew he had to be careful and gentle. For now, the most important thing was that the boy wasn't alone anymore. The quiet morning that began like any other had suddenly turned into something unexpected, something meaningful. Ethan didn't know what surprises the rest of the day might bring, but he already felt that this moment would stay with him for a long time. All he knew was that the soft whisper, "I can't move," had led him to someone who truly needed help, and he was grateful he listened. Ethan stayed beside the boy for a few more minutes, letting him rest and helping him breathe more comfortably. The morning sun was rising higher, warming the cool air little by little. Liam's eyes slowly became clearer, though he still looked weak and tired. Ethan could tell the boy had been lying there for many hours, maybe even since the night before. The thought made Ethan even more careful and gentle. After a quiet moment, Ethan softly asked, "Can you tell me how you ended up here, Liam?" He didn't want to pressure him, but he also needed to understand what had happened. The boy swallowed and nodded a little. "I was walking with my cousin," he whispered. "We were near the old farm, the one on the other side of the trees." Ethan knew the place he was talking about. It was a few miles away, not too far, but still a long walk for a child. "We were exploring," Liam continued. "We always go to small places, like little hills and empty fields. But yesterday, we went a little farther." Ethan listened quietly, letting Liam talk at his own pace. The boy paused to breathe, then continued. "We saw a small path that we never tried before. My cousin said maybe it leads to a pond. We followed it, but then I slipped while climbing down a slope." He looked down for a moment, his eyes filling with embarrassment rather than fear. "I didn't think it was deep," he said softly. "It looked easy to climb, but when I stepped on the edge, the ground moved under my feet, and I fell down a little. I thought I could get up right away, but I couldn't." Ethan understood. Sometimes the soft ground near slopes becomes loose, especially after rain. Even a small slide could make it hard for a young child to stand again. He gently asked, "Where was your cousin?" Liam sighed slowly. "He went to get help. He said he'd run back to the house, but it was getting dark, and I told him I'd be fine if he came back late." Ethan could tell Liam didn't want anyone to feel blamed. "Maybe he couldn't find the way back to me. Or maybe he tried but didn't hear me calling." Ethan nodded. It was possible. The ranch land was huge, and many areas looked similar. A child trying to return in the dark could easily take the wrong path, and if Liam's voice became too soft, it would have been almost impossible to hear him. Ethan kept his face calm and warm. "You did the right thing by staying in one place," he said. "If you had tried to walk in the dark, you might have gotten even more tired." Liam took a small breath and looked relieved to hear that. Ethan noticed that the boy's hands were shaking a little from tiredness. He opened his water bottle again. "Take another small sip," he said kindly. Liam drank a little more, and some color returned to his cheeks. Now Ethan had to think about getting Liam out of the field safely. The boy definitely couldn't walk on his own yet. He needed rest, food, and proper care. But before Ethan lifted him, he wanted to check his condition carefully. "Can you move your arms?" Ethan asked softly. Liam nodded and slowly lifted his hands. They were weak, but fine. "Your legs?" Ethan asked gently. Liam tried to move them but winced a little. "They feel heavy," he said. "Not painful, just too tired." Ethan took a quiet breath of relief. If there was no pain, no sharp discomfort, then Liam likely wasn't injured. He was simply exhausted from lying still for so long, especially through the night. "I'm going to help you stand later," Ethan said. "But first, I'll help you sit a little straighter." He carefully supported Liam's back and adjusted his position. The boy leaned on Ethan's arm, and the moment he felt secure, his shoulders relaxed a little. Ethan glanced around the field again. It still amazed him how hidden Liam had been in the tall grass. If Ethan hadn't heard his tiny whisper, he might have walked past without noticing anything. The thought gave him a soft chill, not from fear but from imagining how lonely the boy must have felt in the dark. Liam's breathing became steadier. "I tried to call last night," he said quietly, "but I don't think anyone heard." Ethan gave him a gentle smile. "Well, I heard you this morning. That means you never gave up." Liam looked up and nodded slowly. Ethan could sense that the boy felt safer now. And that was the most important thing. But Ethan also felt something different rising inside him, a deep responsibility to make sure the boy was completely fine. "Liam," Ethan said kindly, "I need to take you back to my house so you can rest. I'll carry you because you're too tired to walk. Is that okay?" Liam looked a little surprised, but then he nodded gratefully. There was no fear in his expression, only relief. Before picking him up, Ethan gently brushed aside leaves and bits of grass from the child's clothes. He didn't want anything to bother him while being carried. When he slid his arms under Liam, he moved slowly, making sure the boy felt comfortable. Liam wrapped an arm around Ethan's shoulder weakly, trusting him fully. As Ethan stood up with Liam in his arms, the boy leaned his head lightly against Ethan's chest. The morning sun shone softly across the land, creating long shadows that stretched across the field. Ethan held him securely, feeling the small weight of the boy and understanding how much he must have struggled alone through the night. The walk back to the ranch house was long, but Ethan didn't rush. He took steady steps so Liam wouldn't feel any discomfort. The tall grass brushed against Ethan's legs as he moved, and the sounds of morning surrounded them, birds singing, wind moving gently, and the soft rhythm of footsteps on the ground. During the walk, Liam spoke in small, quiet sentences. "I was really worried," he said at one point. I didn't want to sleep, but my eyes kept closing. Ethan nodded softly. Your body was tired. It tried to save energy. You did well by staying calm. I wasn't completely calm, Liam admitted, a faint embarrassed smile on his face. That's all right, Ethan replied warmly. Being scared a little is natural. What matters is that you stayed strong. Liam didn't answer, but Ethan felt the boy's small breath relax against him. It was clear now that Liam felt safe. As they reached the main path leading to the ranch house, Ethan could see the sunlight glowing on the windows. It was comforting, even to him. He knew that once Liam was inside, he could give him water, food, and a warm blanket. He also needed to contact the boy's family as soon as possible, so they would know he was safe. But before any of that, Ethan just wanted to get Liam inside and let him rest. While walking, Ethan wondered again how a small boy ended up so far out on the ranch. It wasn't unusual for kids to explore nature, especially in rural areas. But the distance was still surprising. Liam must have walked for hours before slipping down the slope, and his cousin Ethan hoped he had reached home safely. No doubt the family must be anxious, searching everywhere. By the time Ethan reached the porch, Liam was breathing gently but steadily. The boy looked calmer than before. Ethan tightened his hold just a little, like someone making sure nothing precious slipped away. He pushed the door open with his shoulder and stepped inside the warm, quiet room. The gentle smell of fresh wood and the sight of the cozy interior made the atmosphere feel even safer. Ethan carefully set Liam down on the long cushioned bench near the window. The boy sat back, still tired but clearly relieved to be indoors. Everything that happened in the field, the whisper, the discovery, the shock now felt unreal. But Ethan knew it had all been very real. And it was only the beginning. There were still many things to do. Helping Liam recover, contacting his family, and understanding what exactly happened before Ethan found him. But for now, Liam was safe. And that was enough. Ethan stayed close to Liam as the boy rested on the cushioned bench inside the ranch house. The sunlight coming through the window made the room look warm and welcoming. Liam leaned back, taking slow breaths, still recovering from the long night he had spent outside. Ethan watched him carefully, making sure every small movement looked comfortable. After a few minutes, Ethan asked softly, "How are you feeling now?" Liam nodded weakly. "A little better," he said, though his voice still sounded tired. "It's warm in here," Ethan smiled. "Good. Warmth will help you recover faster." He walked to the kitchen area and filled a glass with water. Then he came back and offered it to Liam. "Drink slowly," he said. "Your body needs it." Liam took the glass with both hands, though his fingers were still trembling. He drank small sips at a time, stopping every few seconds to breathe. Ethan didn't rush him. He simply waited, standing beside the bench so Liam would feel safe and supported. When the boy finished half the glass, Ethan gently took it back. "That's enough for now. We don't want you to feel dizzy." Liam let out a small breath. He looked around the room, the wooden walls, the soft rug, the large window showing the green fields outside. His eyes softened slightly, as if realizing for the first time that he was truly safe. Ethan moved a chair next to the bench and sat down. "Liam," he said in a calm voice, "I'm going to call your family soon. But before that, I want you to rest a little more. If you feel uncomfortable anywhere, let me know." Liam nodded. "My legs are still heavy," he said, "but not hurting." "That's good," Ethan replied. "It means they're just tired. They'll feel normal again after some rest and food." Hearing the word, food, Liam's eyes widened slightly. I haven't eaten since yesterday afternoon," he admitted. Ethan understood immediately. Being without food for so long, combined with cold and fear, must have drained all of Liam's strength. "I'll bring you something light," Ethan said. "You need energy." He walked back to the kitchen and prepared a simple plate with bread slices, a little fruit, and a small bowl of warm soup. Nothing too heavy, just enough to make Liam feel stronger. When Ethan placed the tray beside him, Liam looked at it almost gratefully. "Can I really eat now?" he asked, as if unsure. "Of course," Ethan said gently, "but eat slowly." Liam picked up a spoon, and even the first warm taste of the soup seemed to relax his face. He ate quietly, focusing on each bite. Ethan waited patiently, not wanting to overwhelm him with questions or conversation. The only sounds in the room were the spoon tapping gently against the bowl and the soft rustling of wind outside the window. After a few minutes, Liam set the spoon down and sighed softly. "This is the best thing I've eaten in a long time," he said. Ethan smiled warmly. "Food always tastes better when your body really needs it." Liam nodded, taking another small bite of bread. He looked more awake now. His shoulders weren't as tense. His hands had stopped shaking. Everything about him seemed a bit steadier. Ethan waited for Liam to finish before asking, "Do you want to tell me more about what happened?" "Only if you feel ready." Liam took a slow breath. "I think I can," he said. He shifted slightly, leaning back more comfortably. "I wasn't scared at first," Liam began. "I thought my cousin would come back in a few minutes. We always explore together, and we always find our way back." His voice trembled gently. "Not from fear, but from remembering the long hours alone," he continued. "But after I slipped, I tried to stand up, and everything felt strange. My legs didn't move the way I wanted. I kept trying, again and again, but they felt too heavy." Ethan listened, giving the boy his full attention. "After some time, it got darker and colder," Liam said. "I called out a few times. I thought maybe someone would hear me, but the wind got louder. Then I felt tired, really tired. My eyes kept closing even though I didn't want them to." Ethan nodded slowly. "You must have used up all your energy calling for help." "Maybe," Liam whispered. "At one point, I thought no one would find me. I didn't know where I was anymore. Everything around me looked the same." Ethan leaned forward, his voice gentle and steady. "But someone did find you, Liam. And you held on until morning. That takes courage." Liam lowered his eyes shyly. "I didn't feel brave," he said. "I felt small." Ethan smiled a little. "Courage doesn't always feel big. Sometimes it feels like holding on for just one more minute." Liam looked at him quietly, taking in his words. His eyes softened and seemed to relax even more. As the boy rested again, Ethan stood up. "I'll call your family now," he said. "They must be worried." Liam nodded slowly. "They probably didn't sleep," he whispered. Ethan found the small backpack that had been with Liam and checked its pockets. Inside, he discovered a phone wrapped in a cloth. He gently pressed the power button. It still had some battery left. Liam's hands reached out weakly. "There's a number saved." "Mom," Liam said. Ethan tapped the contact and brought the phone to his ear. It rang only once before someone answered quickly, breathlessly. "Hello? Liam? Liam, is that you?" Ethan spoke calmly. "Ma'am, this is Ethan. I'm a rancher. I found your son on my land. He's safe now." There was a long moment of silence, followed by a soft, emotional breath. "Safe? You found him? Is he all right?" "He's tired and needs rest," Ethan said gently. "But he's okay. He's eating and drinking. You can come get him whenever you're ready." The woman's voice trembled with relief and gratitude. "Please send me your address. We're leaving right now." Ethan shared the directions, assuring her that Liam was being taken care of. When he hung up, he turned to the boy. Liam was watching him, with wide, hopeful eyes. "They're on their way," Ethan said. "They'll be here soon." Liam's breath released slowly. His shoulders dropped. Not from exhaustion this time, but from deep relief. "Thank you," he whispered. "I really thought maybe I wouldn't see them today." Ethan sat down again. "You're safe now. That's what matters." Liam nodded and leaned back on the cushion. The soft glow from the window fell on his face, making him look peaceful. His eyes wandered across the room, and then returned to Ethan. "Can I tell you something?" Liam asked quietly. Of course, Ethan replied. When I was lying there last night, Liam said, I kept thinking about something my dad told me. He said, if you ever feel stuck, just hold on until the next light comes. Keep waiting for morning. Ethan nodded. Your dad is a wise man. I remembered that, Liam said. So when everything felt too quiet, I just kept telling myself, wait for morning. And morning came, Ethan said softly. And I was there. Liam smiled faintly. Yes, you were the morning for me. Ethan felt a warm ache in his chest. He wasn't someone who heard such words often, and they touched him deeply. He reached out and placed a gentle hand on Liam's shoulder. I'm glad I walked to that fence today, he said sincerely. I'm glad I heard you. The boy nodded, his eyes shining gently. He settled back into the pillow, his body relaxing more and more as the comfort of safety wrapped around him. Minutes passed quietly. Ethan stayed nearby, making sure the boy didn't feel alone. The ranch house, usually silent and simple, felt alive that morning, filled with warmth, kindness, and the soft sound of hope returning to a young boy's heart. Outside, the fields swayed gently in the wind, as if nature itself was relieved that Liam was no longer lying helpless on the ground. Everything around the ranch seemed softer, brighter, calmer. Time moved slowly until finally, in the distance, the faint sound of a car approached. Liam lifted his head slightly, his eyes widening. Ethan stood up and walked to the door. Looking out, they're here, he said, turning back to Liam with a warm smile. The sound of car tires on the gravel road grew clearer as the vehicle approached the ranch house. Liam sat up a little straighter on the bench, his weak hands gripping the edges of the cushion. His eyes were filled with a mixture of hope, relief, and nervousness. Ethan stood near the door, watching the car make its way up the long path that cut through the open fields. The sun had climbed higher now, filling the entire room with warm light. Liam's face glowed softly in the sunshine, and though he still looked tired, there was a new brightness in his eyes. He whispered quietly, almost to himself. They're here. Ethan nodded and stepped outside onto the porch. The air felt warmer than before, and a gentle breeze brushed across his face. As the car parked a few feet away, the doors opened almost instantly. A woman rushed out her steps quick, her eyes searching desperately. Her husband followed right behind her, looking equally anxious but trying to stay steady. The moment Liam's mother saw Ethan standing by the door, she hurried toward him. Where is he? She asked breathlessly, her voice trembling with both fear and hope. Ethan gave her a calm, reassuring smile and stepped aside. He's inside, resting. He's all right. She didn't wait for another word. She hurried past him and entered the house. As soon as her eyes landed on Liam, she covered her mouth with her hands. Tears formed instantly, not from sadness, but from overwhelming relief. Liam, she whispered, her voice shaking. The boy looked up, his tired eyes filling with tears of his own. Mom. Within seconds, she was beside him, kneeling on the floor and pulling him into a gentle embrace. Liam leaned into her, resting his head on her shoulder. He closed his eyes as if finally, completely safe. His father walked in slowly, his voice thick with emotion as he said, Hey, champ. Liam opened his eyes and gave a small smile. Dad. His father knelt beside them, placing a warm hand on Liam's back. We were looking everywhere, he said quietly. We didn't sleep at all. Liam nodded weakly. I tried to wait for morning, he said softly. His father swallowed hard and hugged him gently. You did exactly the right thing. Ethan stood nearby, giving the family space but staying close in case they needed anything. Watching the reunion filled him with a warm, peaceful feeling. He couldn't help but smile as he saw the relief in the parents' eyes. After a few minutes, Liam's mother turned to Ethan. Her eyes were red, but there was kindness and deep gratitude in them. Thank you, she said, her voice trembling. Thank you for finding him. Thank you for helping him. We can never repay you. Ethan shook his head gently. You don't have to repay anything. he said. "I'm glad I found him in time." She stood and wiped her eyes, trying to steady her breathing. "When his cousin returned home last night without him, we panicked," she explained. "He said Liam slipped, and he ran to get help, but it got dark so fast. We searched everywhere but couldn't find him." Ethan nodded. It was difficult to see anything in the dark. He was lying in the tall grass. Very quiet. "I almost didn't hear him this morning. But his whisper—" Ethan paused, remembering the moment. It was enough. Liam's father stepped forward and extended his hand. "We really can't thank you enough, Ethan. You probably saved him from getting even more tired or scared. We're grateful." Ethan shook his hand warmly. "I'm just glad he's okay," he said. Liam looked up at Ethan with a small smile. "You helped me a lot," he said softly. "I won't forget it." Ethan felt something warm in his chest. "I'm glad I could help, kid," he replied. "You're brave. You held on through the night." The boy smiled shyly and leaned back into his mother's arms. She kissed the top of his head and whispered, "We're taking you home, sweetheart. You can rest properly now." Ethan gestured toward the door. "Take your time. When you're ready, I'll help carry him to the car if he needs it." Liam's father looked around the room. "Your home is beautiful," he said gently. "It feels peaceful here." Ethan smiled. "It's quiet most days. Today was unexpected." They all shared a soft, relieved laugh, not a loud or cheerful laugh, but a gentle one filled with gratitude. After a short while, Liam's parents helped him stand. His legs were still weak, so he leaned on them for support. Ethan came over to steady him from the other side. Liam looked up at Ethan and whispered, "Thank you. Again." "You're welcome," Ethan said with a smile. "Just focus on getting better." Together, they slowly walked him outside. The moment Liam stepped onto the porch, the warm sunlight touched his face. He closed his eyes and breathed deeply as if feeling the world again in a new, peaceful way. The car door was opened gently, and Liam's mother helped him into the back seat. She wrapped a soft blanket around him, one they had brought in case he needed warmth. Liam settled into the seat, leaning his head back, looking more comfortable than he had since Ethan found him. Before closing the door, Liam turned his head to Ethan one last time. His eyes were full of sincerity and innocence. "I'm glad you walked there today," he whispered. Ethan felt those words settle deeply in his heart. "So am I," he replied softly. Liam's father stepped forward again. "If you ever need anything at all, please call us," he said. "You're family to us now." Ethan smiled kindly. "I appreciate that. And I'm happy Liam is heading home." Liam's mother reached out and touched Ethan's arm. "You didn't just help our son," she said, her voice emotional. "You helped all of us." Ethan nodded softly. "Take good care of him." She nodded back, then stepped into the car. Liam's father got into the driver's seat, started the engine gently, and slowly began to drive away. As the car rolled down the long path, Liam lifted a small hand to wave at Ethan from the back window. Ethan waved back, watching until the car disappeared behind the line of tall trees. For a few long moments, Ethan stood on the porch, feeling the quiet settle around him again. The wind brushed gently across his face. The birds sang lightly from the distant branches. The ranch, with all its open spaces and natural calm, felt exactly as it always did. And yet, something inside Ethan felt different, warmer, fuller. He thought about the morning, about hearing that tiny whisper, about the moment he pushed aside the tall grass and found a small boy lying helpless but hopeful. He remembered the trust in Liam's eyes when he said, "I can't move," and how those words had brought him into action without a second thought. Helping someone had not only changed Liam's day, it had changed Ethan's as well. He realized that even in the quietest places, life could bring unexpected moments. Moments that tested courage, revealed kindness, and created bonds between strangers. Moments that reminded people that no one is ever truly alone, as long as someone listens, someone cares, someone shows up at the right time. Ethan walked back inside the house slowly. The room felt different now, filled with the soft memory of the small boy who had rested there just minutes earlier. Ethan sat down on the same chair next to the bench where Liam had been. He looked at the cushion and smiled quietly. "This bench has a story now," he whispered to himself. He leaned back in the chair, letting the warmth of the late morning sun fill the room. He knew that in the coming days, life would return to its normal rhythm, feeding the animals, repairing fences, walking through the fields. But he also knew that every time he passed the tall grass near the south fence, he would think about that morning. He would remember the faint whisper in the wind, the small hand he found hidden among the grass, and the boy who waited bravely for the next light to come. And deep inside, Ethan felt grateful that he was there at the right time, grateful that he listened, and grateful that a simple act of kindness had made such a difference. For Liam, the morning had brought hope. For Ethan, it had brought purpose. And for both of them, it had created a moment they would never forget.